name's Paul, and I'm joined today by the Minister of City Temple, Rod Woods.
Hey, Paul.
Good to see you, Rod.
It's great to see you too.
Rod, tell us a bit about the history of City Temple.
Well, I like to describe City Temple as one of the new churches in the city of London. We were founded in 1640. And at the time, if you were not Church of England or not Roman Catholic, you were really suspect. But the people who came together as part of City Temple, they said, you know, we don't want to have to listen to a bishop. We don't want a bishop to tell us who can be our minister. And we don't want to have to worship God according to just a human-created prayer book. But we want to worship God according to the Bible and according to the freedom of our own conscience. And those folks came together, and eventually they'd be known as nonconformists. And that's our heritage. And the founding minister of City Temple was a guy named Thomas Goodwin. And he was one of the originators of what has become known as Congregationalism. And that's not that a congregation is a democracy, as sometimes it's understood, but that a congregation should have the freedom to choose its own minister and its own elders. And so Thomas Goodwin was one of the originators of this here in the City of London. And so City Temple has always been here in the City of London since 1640. We've had a lot of different ministers, some very famous like Joseph Parker and Leslie Weatherhead. And as a church, we have really sought to bring together people who really wanted to worship God and really wanted to learn about the Bible. It's always been a church that's been very strong in talking about, teaching, equipping people or training people in line with the Bible. And interestingly, it's a church that's had a very long connection with the States, the United States, where I'm from myself. Our second recorded minister was actually educated in the colonies in a little, it's a small training college called Harvard. Yeah, that's right. It's called Harvard. And at that time, it was just training ministers. Now, obviously, it's a world-famous institution. But that's a little bit about the background and history of the church.
Fantastic. So, how important is London, the City Temple?
Very, very important, especially the City of London. Right now, we are the only, what's known as an English free church, historic free church, which means, again, that we weren't Church of England, we weren't Roman Catholic. We're the only historic English free church that's still worshiping in the City of London in its own building. And throughout our 373-year history, we've always been in the City of London. The only exception to that was a few years between World War II and the rebuilding of the church on Holborn Viaduct. It was bombed in World War II, and during that time, during the rebuilding, we had to use a variety of churches, some of which were outside the bounds of the City of London. But throughout the remainder of our time, we've been in the City of London, and we have made a historic commitment to the City of London. Back in Joseph Parker's day in the 1860s, when we were located closer to the Bank of England, there was a move on a part of many people to say, you know, City Temple should move out to the suburbs. And the church said, no, we don't want to be in the suburbs. And then when it was bombed in World War II, a lot of people said, listen, all the people are moving out of the city. City Temple should move out of the city as well. And even then they said, no, we are committed to the City of London. And for us, we have a real passion to be in the City of London, to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ in the midst of the marketplace, in the midst of everything that's happening around us, where the stock exchange is and the Bank of England is. In all of this, we really want to lift high the cross of Jesus. And City Temple is one of the few churches throughout London that actually has a cross on its steeple. And that was intentional so that we would lift high the cross of Jesus in the midst of the marketplace. That means for us too as a church, we're not a church that's centered on just getting people in to do churchy things. We're a church that's focused on helping to train and equip people for their lives in the marketplace and we realize that the marketplace, the workplace, the schools, universities, and so on, are places where we really do most of our ministry as Christians. Those are the places where we can share the gospel of Jesus Christ with other people. And so London is very, very important for us, and being in the city of London is very, very important for us. So we've had this historic commitment that just doesn't go away, and we recommit ourselves to this continually as a church.
So we've heard a lot about the past of City Temple history, which is great. So what about God's vision for City Temple's future?
That's a good question. I find many times that we discover our future by looking in part at our past. And I think that's true for us at City Temple as well, because when we look at the past, we see that throughout our 373 years so far, City Temple has been what you might call a resource church. In the book of Acts, you read about a new church that was started in a city called Antioch. And this church in Antioch was a center that was training people and equipping people and sending people out all throughout the known world at that time and beyond. The church in Antioch was a place where people with a variety of different gifts and talents and skills were coming together and working together as a team. The church in Antioch was a church that was giving generously to help start other churches and support other churches and support other ministries and the like. And so throughout its history, it was really known as a resource church, a church that was resourcing the larger body of Christ, or the larger church of Jesus Christ, and was really working to extend God's loving rulership into the world around it. And that really describes us here at City Temple, and God's vision for our future is really to be a resource church. We want to be a resource for the extension of God's loving rulership. We want to be a resource for helping to train and equip people, not only to live as a Christian, but also to live as a Christian in the marketplace. We also want to be a refuge for people who can come in, who can experience healing and renewal and growth. And so that's part of our vision. And this vision is not just for ourselves. When Joseph Parker dedicated the original building here on Holborn Viaduct, he said that we're not going to use our conspicuous location and the size of our building for ourselves alone, but we want to use this for the larger body of Christ. So we want this to be a place where Christians can come and conference together about the things that unite us. We want City Temple to be a place that's open throughout the day so people can come in off the street and have a quiet place to pray. We want to help give generously to start other churches and other ministries. And that kind of thing is going on today. We have 6 other churches that meet in our building every week, several of whom we're helping to be established and to grow. Throughout our history, we've helped start other churches, other ministries. We're still a place where Christians will come together and have conferences, and we actually have a full-blown conference ministry that helps sustain the overall ministry of the church. We still have a place, a prayer room, where we're talking right now, where people can come in off the street just to have a quiet place to pray, unless of course we're filming, and have something, a place where they can encounter God. All of these things are part of our vision for the future. And we focus in on 5 primary ministry areas: prayer, community, worship, outreach, and training. And that's all part of this vision that God has for us, which I would summarize as really being a resource church, not only for the City of London, but for the wider London community. And that's been part of our heritage for the last 373 years, and that's going to be part of our heritage going in if God willing, we have another 373 years. We'll continue that heritage as our vision into the future.
It's exciting. Thanks, Ron.
Well, thanks, Paul.
Okay, thanks for joining us. And thank you. Hope to see you soon.